thank you. Introduction. Wow, no thank you. Essays by Samantha Irby is a collection of humorous and poignant essays that explore a range of topics, from body image to family dynamics to the challenges of modern adulthood. Through her witty and relatable writing style, Irby offers readers a fresh and honest perspective on the complexities of everyday life. The book is divided into several chapters, each of which focuses on a particular theme or topic. Throughout the essays, Irby's personal experiences and observations are woven together with sharp social commentary, resulting in a collection that is both entertaining and thought-provoking. Chapter 1. Into the Gross. Into the Gross is a humorous and insightful reflection on growing older, embracing one's quirks and preferences, and navigating the world as an unconventional woman. The chapter opens with Irby discussing her struggles with anxiety and depression, which have led to a range of physical symptoms. She talks about her heart palpitations, sweating, and stomach issues, and the ways in which her body often feels like it's betraying her. Through her humor, Irby is able to make light of these difficult experiences, showing that even in our most vulnerable moments, there can be a silver lining of humor and connection. From there, the chapter delves into a series of anecdotes about bodily functions, from constipation and diarrhea to sweat and menstrual cycles. Irby is unafraid to poke fun at herself, sharing stories of public restroom mishaps and awkward encounters with coworkers. Through it all, she maintains a lighthearted tone, reminding readers that even in our most embarrassing moments, we are all human and flawed. Irby also discusses her experiences with dating and relationships, and the challenges of finding love and connection as an adult. She talks about the pressure to settle down and start a family, and the ways in which this can be at odds with our own desires and goals. She is frank about the difficulties of online dating, and the absurdity of some of the profiles she has encountered. Through it all, she remains optimistic, reminding readers that there is humor and joy to be found even in the most awkward of romantic situations. Throughout the chapter, Irby touches on the larger themes of shame and embarrassment, and the ways in which these emotions can hold us back in life. By acknowledging and embracing our own messiness and imperfections, Irby shows that we can learn to live more fully and authentically, free from the constraints of societal expectations and self-imposed shame. Irby's writing is both witty and relatable, and her frankness about the gross and uncomfortable aspects of life is refreshing. By exposing the messiness and vulnerability of the human experience, she invites readers to laugh at themselves and find joy in the unexpected. At the same time, she reminds us of the importance of self-acceptance and compassion, and the ways in which embracing our own messiness can help us to connect more deeply with others. Chapter 2. Late for Your Life. In this chapter, the author reflects on the experience of reaching her 40s and feeling as though she has yet to fully embrace adulthood. Irby begins by discussing the expectations placed on women as they age, noting the pressure to settle down, start a family, and conform to societal norms. She then delves into her own personal struggles with adulthood, describing herself as a perpetual late bloomer who has always struggled to keep up with her peers. She discusses her tendency to procrastinate, her aversion to traditional markers of success, and her ongoing battle with anxiety and depression. Throughout the essay, Irby's signature humor and self-deprecation shine through, even as she tackles weighty topics such as aging and mortality. She offers candid insights into her own struggles and insecurities, while also reflecting on the larger societal pressures that can make adulthood feel like an impossible hurdle to overcome. Ultimately, Irby concludes that there is no one right way to be an adult, and that the best we can do is embrace our own unique path and find joy and fulfillment in the present moment. She offers a message of hope and self-acceptance, encouraging readers to let go of the pressure to conform to societal expectations and instead focus on living their own lives in their own way. Chapter 3. We Are Never Meeting in Real Life. In this chapter, the author reflects on the challenges and pitfalls of online dating and social media in the modern age. Irby begins by describing her own experiences with online dating, including the disappointment and frustration that can come with endless swiping and messaging. She then delves into the larger cultural phenomenon of social media, noting the ways in which it can perpetuate feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Irby discusses the pressure to present a certain image online, even when that image is not reflective of reality, and the anxiety that can come with the constant comparison to others. Throughout the essay, Irby offers her trademark wit and humor, even as she grapples with weighty topics such as loneliness and isolation. She reflects on the ways in which technology has both connected and disconnected us, and the paradoxical nature of feeling more connected than ever before, while also feeling more alone. Ultimately, Irby concludes that while technology can be a useful tool for connection and communication, it is important to balance our online lives with real-world experiences and relationships. She offers a message of self-acceptance and authenticity, encouraging readers to be true to themselves, both online and offline. Chapter 4. A Case for Remaining Indoors. In this chapter, Irby explores the idea of staying indoors and avoiding social situations. She begins by describing a childhood memory of being told by her mother that she's not an outside person, which has stuck with her throughout her life. She reflects on how, as an adult, she's come to embrace her preference for staying inside, rather than feeling guilty about it. Irby writes about the benefits of staying indoors, such as being able to control one's environment, avoiding crowds and noise, and having easy access to snacks and Netflix. She also touches on the stigma attached to being a homebody or introvert, and how those labels can be used to shame people for not being more outgoing. Despite her love for staying inside, Irby acknowledges that it can also be isolating and lead to feelings of loneliness or depression. She writes, "The truth is that the couch is the safest, most comfortable place I can think of, but it's also where I'm most vulnerable to the ideas that live in my head." Overall, Irby challenges the idea that we always need to be out and about, and argues that there's nothing wrong with enjoying the comfort and safety of our own homes. At the same time, she acknowledges the potential pitfalls of isolation and encourages readers to find a balance that works for them. Chapter 5. Girls Gone Mild. Girls Gone Mild is a thought-provoking reflection on the good girl stereotype and the ways in which it can limit women's experiences and opportunities. Through her own experiences and observations of popular culture, Irby explores the pressures placed on women to conform to certain societal expectations, particularly around sexuality and behavior. Irby begins the chapter by reflecting on her own identity as a good girl growing up, who never rebelled or got into trouble. She compares herself to her wilder friends who partied and had sex, and writes about feeling like she was missing out on something. This sense of missed opportunity is something that many women can relate to, particularly when it comes to experiences of sexual exploration and experimentation. The societal pressure to be a good girl can lead to feelings of shame and guilt around sexual desire, which in turn can prevent women from fully exploring their own desires and preferences. Irby goes on to discuss the good girl stereotype in popular culture, particularly in movies and television shows. She notes how often these characters are punished or shamed for their sexual desires, or for stepping outside of societal norms. Irby writes, "The bad girls always seem to have more fun, but the good girls ended up with the diamond rings." This reflects the societal expectation that women who behave in certain ways will be rewarded with marriage and other forms of social validation, while those who are more rebellious will be punished or rejected. The pressure to conform to societal expectations of what a woman should be like doesn't end with adolescence or young adulthood, however. Irby explores how the good girl stereotype can follow women into adulthood, and the ways in which it can limit their choices and opportunities. She writes about feeling constrained by societal expectations of what a woman should be like, and the difficulty of breaking free from those constraints. This can manifest in various ways, from the pressure to have children to the expectation that women will be nurturing and self-sacrificing. Irby notes how women who choose to pursue careers or other non-traditional paths can be judged and shamed for their choices. Throughout the chapter, Irby's humor and wit make the subject matter more approachable and engaging. She is able to use humor to both highlight the absurdity of societal expectations and to make readers feel seen and understood. Irby also draws on her own experiences and those of her friends to illustrate her points, which helps to ground the discussion in real-life examples. Chapter 6. Instant Family. Irby explains experience of becoming a stepmother to 2 young children. Through her usual blend of humor and honesty, Irby shares the challenges and joys of navigating this new role in her life. Irby starts the chapter by acknowledging the unexpectedness of becoming a stepmother, particularly for someone who has never had children of their own. She talks about the challenges of getting to know the children and learning how to communicate with them effectively. She also discusses the challenges of sharing her life and space with two young children who have their own needs and demands. Throughout the chapter, Irby explores the joys of her newfound family, particularly the love and connection she feels with her stepchildren. She talks about the moments of tenderness and bonding, and the sense of responsibility and protection she feels towards them. However, she also acknowledges the difficulties that come with being a step-parent, particularly when it comes to navigating the relationships between herself, her partner, and the children's biological mother. Irby's writing in this chapter is both funny and poignant, as she explores the complexities of forming a family through non-traditional means. She discusses the ways in which her own expectations and assumptions have been challenged, and the ways in which she has grown and learned through the process of becoming a stepmother. Ultimately, she shows that family can take many forms, and that love and connection can be found in unexpected places. Chapter 7 Meaty. This chapter is a candid and heartfelt exploration of her relationship with her stepchildren and the challenges of blended families. Through her humor and honesty, Irby touches on themes of love, loss, and the messy complexities of family dynamics. The chapter opens with Irby discussing her marriage to her wife, Kirsten, and her experiences becoming a stepmother to Kirsten's two children. She talks about the challenges of navigating this new role, and the ways in which she has struggled to connect with her stepchildren. Through her humor, Irby is able to make light of these difficulties, but she also shows a deep sense of compassion and empathy for both herself and her stepchildren. From there, the chapter delves into a series of anecdotes about the joys and struggles of blended families. Irby is unafraid to address the complexities of these relationships, from the challenges of co-parenting with an ex-spouse to the difficulties of navigating different parenting styles. She is honest about her own limitations as a step-parent, and the ways in which she has struggled to balance her own needs with those of her family. Irby also touches on the larger themes of loss and grief, and the ways in which these emotions can be magnified in blended families. She talks about the death of her own mother, and the ways in which this has impacted her relationship with her stepchildren. She is frank about the difficulties of trying to be a good parent while also dealing with her own emotional struggles. Throughout the chapter, Irby demonstrates a deep sense of empathy and understanding for her stepchildren and their experiences. She is unafraid to show vulnerability and to acknowledge her own mistakes and shortcomings as a step-parent. Through it all, she maintains a sense of humor and an appreciation for the messy complexities of family life. Chapter 8 My Mother, My Daughter. This chapter is a deep personal exploration of Irby's relationship with her mother, who passed away from cancer when Irby was a teenager. Through her characteristic blend of humor and honesty, Irby reflects on the complicated and sometimes painful emotions that she has experienced as she has grown older and navigated her own journey into motherhood. The chapter opens with Irby reflecting on a conversation with her therapist about the ways in which she has struggled to process her grief over the loss of her mother. She talks about the ways in which her mother's death has continued to impact her life, even years later, and how difficult it has been for her to talk about this loss with others. She also discusses her complicated feelings about becoming a mother herself, and the ways in which this has brought up unresolved emotions about her own relationship with her mother. From there, the chapter delves into a series of anecdotes and reflections about Irby's relationship with her mother. She is unafraid to address the messy, complicated emotions that she has experienced over the years, from anger and resentment to deep love and gratitude. She talks about the ways in which her mother's illness and death shaped her own identity, and the ways in which this loss has continued to impact her relationships with others. Irby also reflects on her own journey into motherhood, and the ways in which becoming a parent has brought up unresolved emotions about her relationship with her mother. She is candid about her fears and anxieties, and the ways in which she has struggled to navigate the challenges of raising a child, while also grappling with her own emotional baggage. Throughout the chapter, Irby's signature blend of humor and honesty is on full display. She is unafraid to address the messy, complicated emotions that come with losing a loved one and becoming a parent, and her reflections are both poignant and deeply relatable. By embracing the messiness and complexity of these experiences, Irby reminds us of the power of vulnerability and honesty in processing our own emotional journeys. Chapter 9. My Bachelorette Application. The chapter opens with Irby describing her initial skepticism towards the show, which she initially dismissed as a brain-dead romance pageant. However, as she watched more episodes, she found herself increasingly drawn to the drama and the romantic tension between the contestants. She also became aware of the show's potential to transform a person's life, providing them with a platform and a newfound sense of fame. From there, the chapter delves into Irby's decision to apply for the show herself. She is unafraid to address the superficial reasons that drew her to the show, such as the potential for free travel and fancy clothes, as well as the deeper emotional reasons that led her to seek out a new adventure. She talks about her own insecurities and fears, and the ways in which the show represented an opportunity to step outside of her comfort zone and challenge herself in new ways. Throughout the chapter, Irby's trademark humor and wit are on full display. She is unafraid to poke fun at herself and the absurdity of the show, even as she grapples with the underlying emotional reasons that led her to consider applying. By embracing the contradictions and complexities of her own desires, she reminds us of the power of self-acceptance and self-awareness in pursuing our dreams. Chapter 10. Hungry Ghost. The chapter opens with Irby describing a particularly intense binge-eating episode, in which she consumes an enormous amount of food in a short amount of time. She is unafraid to address the shame and self-loathing that often accompany these episodes, as well as the ways in which they can exacerbate existing mental health issues. From there, the chapter delves into Irby's complicated relationship with dieting and exercise. She is unafraid to acknowledge the ways in which society's obsession with thinness and beauty standards can be damaging, and the ways in which she has internalized these messages over the years. She also shares her experiences with various diets and weight loss programs, highlighting the ways in which they often fail to address the underlying emotional issues that drive disordered eating. Throughout the chapter, Irby's humor and wit provide a counterbalance to the often difficult and painful subject matter. She is unafraid to make fun of herself and the absurdity of the dieting industry, even as she grapples with the deeper emotional issues that underlie her disordered eating. By embracing her own vulnerabilities and imperfections, she reminds us of the importance of self-acceptance and self-love in navigating the complexities of our relationship with food and our bodies. Chapter 11. The Worst Friend Date I Ever Had. The chapter opens with Irby describing her initial excitement at the prospect of making a new friend. She is eager to connect with someone who shares her interests and values, and to build a relationship that can offer support and companionship in a sometimes lonely world. However, as the friend date unfolds, things quickly start to go wrong. Irby and her new friend struggle to find common ground, and their conversation is stilted and uncomfortable. Irby is unafraid to poke fun at herself and her own social awkwardness, but she is also honest about the disappointment and frustration she feels at the failure of the date. Through her characteristic wit and humor, Irby touches on some of the deeper issues that underlie our struggles with adult friendships. She acknowledges the ways in which our busy lives and changing priorities can make it difficult to build and maintain meaningful connections, and the ways in which our expectations of friendship can sometimes be unrealistic or unfair. Despite the disappointments and setbacks she experiences, Irby ultimately remains optimistic about the possibility of finding meaningful connections in the adult world. Through her honesty and humor, she reminds us that even the most awkward and disastrous friend dates can ultimately lead to unexpected and rewarding friendships. Chapter 12. The Worst First Date I Ever Had. The chapter opens with Irby describing her initial excitement at the prospect of meeting someone new. She is hopeful and eager to make a connection with someone who shares her interests and values. However, as the date unfolds, things quickly start to go wrong. The man she meets is nothing like his online profile, and their conversation is stilted and uncomfortable. Irby is unafraid to poke fun at herself and her own dating misadventures, but she is also honest about the disappointment and frustration she feels at the failure of the date. Through her characteristic wit and humor, Irby touches on some of the deeper issues that underlie our struggles with modern dating. She acknowledges the ways in which online dating can create unrealistic expectations and contribute to a culture of superficiality and disconnection. She also reflects on the ways in which our own insecurities and fears can sabotage our efforts to find love and connection. Despite the disappointments and setbacks she experiences, Irby ultimately remains optimistic about the possibility of finding meaningful connections in the dating world. Through her honesty and humor, she reminds us that even the most disastrous first dates can ultimately lead to unexpected and rewarding relationships. Chapter 13, Late for Your Funeral. The chapter begins with Irby recounting the sudden death of a friend, an event that prompts her to reflect on the fragility and preciousness of life. She notes the ways in which our lives can be cut short unexpectedly, and the importance of living fully in the present moment. From there, she delves into a discussion of the various ways in which our perception of time changes over the course of our lives. Irby draws on personal experiences to illustrate her points, describing the ways in which she has noticed her own sense of time shifting as she gets older. She notes that time seems to pass more quickly as we age, and that we become more acutely aware of the limited time we have left to live. She also reflects on the ways in which technology has changed our relationship to time, making it both easier and more difficult to stay connected to the people and experiences that matter most to us. Through her characteristic blend of humor and introspection, Irby ultimately arrives at a place of acceptance and gratitude for the time she has been given. She encourages readers to embrace the present moment, to cherish the people and experiences that matter most, and to make the most of the time we have left. Chapter 14, Body Negativity. Irby begins the chapter by reflecting on her own experiences with body negativity, describing the ways in which she has struggled with self-acceptance over the years. She notes the constant barrage of messages we receive from the media and society at large about what a perfect body should look like, and the ways in which these messages can undermine our sense of self-worth. Through a series of personal anecdotes and observations, Irby explores the various ways in which body negativity can manifest in our lives. She notes the ways in which it can impact our relationships, our sense of self-confidence, and our ability to fully enjoy life. She also discusses the various ways in which we can combat body negativity, from practicing self-care to seeking out supportive communities. Throughout the chapter, Irby's characteristic wit and humor shine through, even as she tackles a serious and deeply personal topic. She offers relatable and actionable advice for anyone struggling with body image issues, encouraging readers to focus on self-love and acceptance rather than societal expectations. Conclusion. In conclusion, Wow, No Thank You, Essays is a hilarious and insightful collection that offers a fresh and honest perspective on the challenges of modern life. Samantha Irby's witty and relatable writing style, combined with her willingness to tackle difficult topics with honesty and humor, make this book a must-read for anyone looking for a fresh and engaging voice in contemporary literature. Whether you are struggling with body image, navigating complex family dynamics, or simply looking for a good laugh, this book is sure to provide both entertainment and insight.